Hello!
Woohoo!
Guys, the Caminante. This is it. The episode that we've been waiting for. I gotta say this, going back to nature just to figure out how life goes forward and also in business. This episode 9, is about the roots and revival, our journey into regenerative farming.
And you guys are in for such a treat because this is our latest project, and this is my favorite yet.
Well, I mean, of course, because we've been talking about past. Now, I think it was a great idea, sweetie. So thank you. Why don't we just talk about the present and what all those past experiences have got us to today? So talk to me.
Well, I'm Tiffany, and this is my amazing husband, Luis. We are your host of Caminante, the podcast where cultures collide, empires rise.
That's right.
And
that's
they
right.
are.
Love it.
So my family is all from like South Georgia, like real Southern. I mean, just like hoe cakes and things that only Southern people know. So there's just something so sweet and special about connecting with your roots. And for me, it means so much. I'm in such a sweet, peaceful, joyful place.
So what do you think about when I told you we're going to explore a business in farming? What was it, Tiff?
I really thought that when we were going to start building a farm, I imagined avocados, bananas, lemons, limes, like rows of fruit, maybe a few chickens. I've always dreamed of minis because minis are so...
Mini what? So that way, people...
Minis, cows, horses, donkeys.
Everything in the farm but minis.
Yes.
Okay. We got to talk about that because I do think that it's quite an interest, right? So now we got pigs, cows, horses, chicken, an entire pasture that we've been working on for the past 2 years to get it to the point that it can be nutritious and beneficial, not only for the animals, but also, for the end consumer who is, us. And I'll tell you everything about regenerative farming and some of the approaches that we are working on when it comes to this type of agriculture, which is pretty much no chemicals. You just work with the nature. And I think that's what I find fascinating in today's time with the knowledge and everything else that we have and technology, how we've been doing agriculture, right? How we've been destroying earth and the supply chain, and how that has impacted people's lives, health, generations. And now I do think that there is a solution to kind of take that back to the roots of what this truly should have been about all along, instead of focusing on numbers, mass production, and sales, take it back to the local level, intensifying the grazing so that way you can maximize productivity, which now there are practices and approaches that allow you to do that, and then take it from there, but in a natural way.
And I love this project. I love hearing you talk about it. I love the joy, and just not even from us, but even from our kids being out in green pastures and sunshine and blue skies and, the slowdown. This has really changed everything.
I agree.
Even like how therapeutic it has been. I see the boys like healing and growing and changing behavior. And I see even within me things that the horses and the animals are teaching. And I don't know, for me, this is hands down the most rewarding adventure yet. It's, building a farm. like from nothing.
is.
You know,
It
we
is.
didn't acquire this where the fences were already built, you know, the
Yes.
trenches were already dug. Like,
You gotta start. You just have a piece of land, and you just gotta build everything from. I mean, not even electricity, no water, no Wi-Fi. There's nothing. So you just gotta start becoming and dreaming and getting very creative to give life to it. And so I would say this before we keep going on and on and on. Welcome to Caminante, where reconnecting with our roots took us forward in ways we have never imagined. So, sweetie, take it from here. I'm super excited. I think this is going to be an episode that we will remember.
Bad dirt, find the one you can't live without.
Sweetie, you're so cute.
I love that song.
Yeah, you like country, and I appreciate that. You know, we are city people, truly. And I never dreamed or even thought about getting into farming. Everything started because, you know, I sold a business, and it was a beautiful business. It was all about recycling and taking what was waste for first world countries to convert it into something precious in the third world countries. And it was just super magical. And I was thinking about what the next opportunity or next adventure could be. And talking to Tiff, because of her roots and what she just explained about where she comes from, she always talk about farm and cotton fields in Georgia. And I'm like, wow, why we don't explore that piece? Because I've been reading, we've been watching videos, and we've been actually seeing a new transformation around that industry. It's not like the old ways anymore. There are new entrants. There's people with capital coming in, implementing, introducing technology, but also incorporating approaches like the one that we're talking about, in where you can do natural grazing in an organized manner, incorporating natural cycles of different animals, so that way you don't have to use chemicals. So you can increase productivity, but also you do it the healthy way.
Yes, in a way that will allow food to be the nutritious thing that it's supposed to be. I mean, food is supposed to help us,
right?
Heal us,
not kill us.
Right.
And not only that, also, you don't kill the planet in the process, right? And I think that's what really, you know, it's an awakening call when we got into this, is you got to do it in a sustainable manner. So you take care of Mother Earth that provides so much, and you incorporate her in the process of producing, right? But you got to do it how nature tells you how to do it. And there are natural cycles. And I think that's what I'm super excited about, is reading the natural cycles that this earth have without interrupting it and breaking them, and just do it by force or how I wanted to, instead of actually respecting it, right? So super cool. Very, very excited. I think it's going to be interesting.
I remember a few years ago that it was like an epiphany moment. I was like, wait a second. I was in public shopping and I was starting to buy organic food, and I was thinking, why do I need to buy organic food? Like, okay, it's all supposed to be like this, and here I am paying like triple the amount. You know, like when I bought regular food, it was like $100.
Yes.
When I buy, this was a few years ago. When I buy, it would double, sometimes triple the cost of my grocery bill, because I was needing to buy food, or we were just starting to have kids, and I wanted food that, you know, was good.
It was healthier.
Was the right way. Yeah. And it just blows my mind. Like, we've allowed something good, and we've talked about this before, how good things can become a bad thing. And we've just, like, our whole food system, and
it's broken.
It's gotten lost. And we want food that we can trust and know what we're feeding our kids.
That's right. And I think that, you know, I realized when you and I were talking about that time, how disconnected we were from what the food sources,
Right.
you know, where the food was coming from. We were actually trusting
Just
a
naive.
label,
Yeah.
a label that you think, you know, Uncle Joe or Sam, whoever, is actually backing you out. And that's where I learned that you don't depend on people. You don't depend on your employer. You just have to find your own path, and you gotta truly just walk it and do your own thing. And this is the business that I do believe we took handle in the matters, how do you say, or control of the matters,
We took a hand
because I couldn't believe and I couldn't trust the government, the labels, what they were saying, if it was true or not. You know, then you hear all these different things occurring healthy wise, and the research increasing from cancer and this and that, and you can keep just going on and on. And then when you start deep diving, and then start really exploring the natural sources of how the mainstream gets the food, it's a horror movie. It's truly a horror movie. So now doing this, which it really symbolizes growth from within, a strong resilience, sustainability. I kind of feel that regenerative farming is representing who we are. It's representing what you believe, what I believe, which is we are healthy people. We have routines of you know, taking care of ourselves. But most importantly is, how do you incorporate that care with everything around you? From the source of where you get your own food, to the source of your drinking water, from the source of you know, how you take rest, how you feed your mind. I mean, everything has become an awakening moment for me since we started this business.
Yeah, and what I love most is how peace has really led the way.
Right.
And we just keep seeing. I'm so glad we said yes, because I remember standing out there and you were like, well, do you want to do it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we didn't even know. I mean, here we are, these two city people trying to.
We know very, very little about farming.
Yes, and we still don't know a lot of things. I mean, this is one of the topics that you keep learning.
Yes.
Every single day as you try. Nature tells you, no, yes, this season work, the next season may not. So, you know, it's just a constant teaching. And I think I find that fascinating, because that gets you very humble, okay? And it puts things into perspective that we just don't know at all, even though when you think you know it.
Well, I'll tell you what I think is fascinating. You. I mean, you're so clearly cute. Leading. I'm leading the minis, okay? 5 acres over the 300.
You're so
but
funny.
No, I mean, we go out there, we learn, we connect with the community, the rescues, you know, the people.
Right.
I mean, I've met a lot of people, impressive. But man, because how
they're connected in something completely different.
Yes. Yeah. The intention and the motivation, there's just no like ill in their heart at all. But yes. Back to what I was saying, how you just have taken this like by the reins.
Wow. A cowgirl.
And I mean, just the speed, and, you know, every time we come back, like you're
something else.
You're executing.
It's the next phase.
You're executing so quickly, and I can't wait till the mini fence gets done. I know that won't be long.
Well, the water is getting there now. So you got to think about it. You got to think about also like where you're gonna get the water, right? And what kind of system you're gonna put in place. So I do remember when we bought it, when we bought this land. And then you and I, we went there, and you know, it looked beautiful, the field, but okay. What are we gonna do now? How are we gonna make this work?
That's your specialty. That day? That's your specialty. Yeah, I didn't know how much 300 acres really was.
Right, until you start walking it and driving it. And, right.
I mean, what a beast. But one pasture at a time, honey.
One pasture at a time. And I think that's what we realize is one pasture at a time. You introduce the animals in the proper order. So I think about it like this, guys. I think farming, in one way or the other, it heals.
Oh,
I
so
think
much.
instead of, chemicals and all these different things that were used to produce at the mass level, it is truly about enriching the soil, promoting biodiversity, creating ecosystem where animals and nature work together. That sync is always been there. Just had the man or humans have to come and break it. It kind of sounds like that's kind of what we do, right?
Of course. Well, explain the rotational grazing and, like he has this thing all figured out.
No, I don't have it
there's
figured out.
systems and it's
you start creating systems as you go, but no, I don't have it figured out. I don't make it sound like this. So here's how I would explain it. So,
humble.
our cows move from one pasture to another, okay? And they fertilize the land naturally, through the manure. So they have to have a good source of food in order to, fertilize the soil in an enriching manner, right? Then the chickens, they follow behind. You give a couple of, days so that way all that manure rests. And the chickens come in, they start eating all the insects, spread the manure, We do step in also and help to spread that evenly. But it is truly a natural choreography, if you want to call it like that.
I love that.
So that way the chicken, they have a purpose in the system, right? The same way as the cows, the same way as the pigs, right? That then they come after and they really impact the land in a way that you could do it, right? Men could do it, but through the natural process, you start finding that you create efficiencies, and then you're truly getting everybody fed in that process. And I think that's what's beautiful, because it becomes an efficient process, but everybody's getting fed in while they're doing their own purpose, right? The natural cycle of things to impact the land, and that pasture, when it raises and grows again, it grows truly beneficial with a lot of benefits, healthy, and then you redo that cycle again. You leave that pasture rest. You give it a good cycle of a month or so. That's kind of where we are. And that enriches that soil. It gets that resting, the proper resting with enough of water. We have an entire irrigation system to help the process so we can mitigate when there's no rain. We have been able to step in and just stepping enough to help the natural process. And there you go. It starts all over again. So you gotta know what pasture has been impacted, which one doesn't, so that way you know when to introduce the animals again and start that cycle all over again. And by the way, we started integrating also the horses manure with the mix of those. How do you call that bedding? The horse bedding that helps to absorb the moisture of the urine, along with the manure and everything else, collecting all that and also introducing it into the system so you can build an organic matter on your soil. Again, it produces a great pasture, which at the end of the day, the animal that eats that pasture, it's enriching. And then when you're eating that meat, you're eating good stuff.
I think that's really what has blown my mind the most, is how every little thing has a purpose.
Yes.
and can be used for the greater goal
Yes.
of what we're doing. Like the bee, the kids were like, a bumblebee.
Right. Yes.
And we helped them learn why it was so important to
Yes.
have the bumblebee. So it's not a bad thing. Yes, you don't want it to sting
Right.
you, but there's a purpose in
Yeah.
it. And I think that's what I love so much about this new adventure, is that it's teaching me so much. And
Well,
it's just bringing such a peace. I used to look at farmers like people, and I would be like very
Cowboy
encouraged and
hat.
inspired. And I was like, great, you do your thing. I never imagined loving it so much, but it's just brought so much peace.
Well, and not only the animals that we have, right, like in the farm, is also at the sub level, they also participate. All that microbacteria, everything else that is doing their thing with everything else that we put in the soil, they're also working it, right? They're breaking down the manure. It's getting into the micro level, and everybody's doing their part. And I think that's what is fascinating. And then you get the outcome, which is
Right.
it's good. It's what you're eating is good, and you're taking care of the soil. You're taking so that's what I think farming is gonna go, and that's the future.
Well,
I'm not gonna say it's the present yet because it's not the
Right.
mainstream, but I'm gonna say that I think that is the hope that we have as humanity, that we can start correcting certain
Right.
practices that we currently do that is hurting Mother Earth, and actually start doing things that can help to heal, and that also we as consumer we can start choosing the proper sources or companies that are promoting these kind of practices, so we can all together, all caminantes, change mainstream.
I can't be the only one who like thought that the things I was buying at the grocery store
There's a
were
lot of people, a lot of my friends are in the same.
like, you know,
It's just that they stop the search until they see the truth. And so, you know, they look for the products that say organic, this and that, but we're going even farther. We're producing our own food.
So like when do you think all this went wrong? There had to be a time. I think about my grandma and my grandpa.
Industrialization, I would say, when we started in the phase of industrializing everything, right?
Which how long ago would you say that was?
I don't know, we'll say, let's call it, I don't know, 70 years, 80 years ago. So around 1940s,
Right.
after the Second World War.
Right.
I think when US start pushing and leading the world after the Second World War, that momentum of getting everything industrialized, I think that's kind of when where we started losing the focus. We were focusing on the numbers. We were focusing on meeting quotas. And when you start doing that, unfortunately, you cheat. So
Right.
how can we get a cow fatter or bigger, much faster? How can I get a normal cow instead of 1,000 pounds? I can get her to weigh 1,300. Okay, don't move it too much. Let it there, not move. So now you create other things. That's unhealthy. You try to not move for a good amount of your lifespan and see what happens with your health. So here's the thing. Then we eat that. And everything that you eat, that health stage that the animal was, unfortunately, that's passing, you know, to our bodies.
Of course. Well, this blew my mind. I have a great.
And I'm not saying anything else like what else you're giving food-wise, right? To get them.
I don't. Right. Yeah, we don't know.
Right.
But I do know that your body will tell you. And I think we can just look around at some of the statistics. And I mean, I have a great friend. I have a lot of Venezuelan friends, and a Venezuelan friend of mine. This blew my mind. I was like, "You're joking, right?" She had recently migrated over, and she started eating the chicken from here. This is kind of gross, so just heads up if y'all are eating or drinking, turn me down. I know a lot of y'all like ride on the way to work.
Right.
She told me and that there was things like growing in her body.
Wow.
From the, I don't know if it was in her lymph nodes.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it's from the hormones of the chicken.
But this was, yes.
Yeah.
And it connected the dots for me because when I went over to Venezuela, I remember the chicken and the food, and you just can feel the nutrition that it's giving your body. Like when you eat here, it's so different in how it fills you up and how it makes you want more, and in like how it makes you feel here versus how it makes you feel there energized. You don't like crave, I need more, I need to eat more, I need, like you're satisfied. Right. The flavor is so that connected the dots for me, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I haven't eaten chicken since then, honestly. I'm like...
But that's the thing. And I think...
Get our chickens ready, babe.
That's a mistake because it's not... And I hear that quite often. They find the truth of what, you know, mainstream has done because of supply chain defects and mass production. and then they stop eating. No, there are other alternatives. Same meat, same chicken, in where it is done correctly, it's done well,
Yeah.
and it is super. Because then when you stop doing that, people that go all the way to vegetarian,
I can't help it.
right? All the way to vegetarian, your body needs certain. So now you start trying to figure out within vegetables what can you get to complement what you will be getting from, let's say, meat, right?
Right.
I'm not saying that there's a right or wrong, but what I'm saying is meat has nutrition.
Yes.
And then if it is done in a proper manner,
Yes.
right, you need less in order to feel satisfied because of the nutrition that you're getting.
Correct.
When the process is correct.
Correct.
When it's done well. That's when you go to Venezuela.
Or even Nicaragua.
The operation there is exactly how it should be. Is work at the local level, community based, and they're not trying to get all this mass production, not only for domestic but also to export. They start cheating. They start giving stuff to the animal. They start immobilizing the animal completely. I mean, it's just inhumane, I would say.
Yeah.
But this approach can satisfy the existing demand that we have. Because some other people say, but they stop eating. I mean, there's not enough. The cattle is also impacting, global warming. And what I say to that is, I think everything is about equilibrium. Okay. And when you start incorporating not only the cattle, but also other sources of meat, you bring things into balance. That's what nature teaches us. It's all about the balance. It could not be more on one than the other. Things should be in balance. And as long as it's done well, I think a lot of problems that we currently have start kind of like settling.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I love your heart behind it. And when you look out there, I mean, there's plenty of space to do it the right way.
Right.
So I am so excited. We're going to change a lot of lives and bring so much health. But let's talk about
the animals.
Let's talk about the animals.
They have become, honestly, they become our family, right?
They're the stars of the farm. They absolutely are.
They really are. I mean, like our cattle, they are just not livestock. I mean, they are like the nature gardeners, restoring soil health just by grazing, and they look amazing, right? When we are at the house, you see them grazing, and everything start becoming like a paint.
Yes.
Right.
And what about the pigs?
Tell me about it.
Tell me about the pigs.
So they aerate the soil, right, with their snouts. How do you pronounce it? Snouts?
Yeah.
It's the snouts digging up roots naturally. I mean, the animal impact is important because, by the way, now talking about spring, you remember when talking about pigs, you remember when they escape on last spring? I mean, you were trying to what? Get one? How was that? My cowgirl. So they also have their purpose, and when they're little, they're super cute.
Yes, and the horses, they've just added this whole new dimension to farm life. I'm not I think horses are beautiful and they're great to look at, and I was never like a horse
person.
I just wasn't. Not for any bad reason, but it just wasn't like my thing.
And now?
Well, so listen to this story, because like we were talking about earlier, how things just keep lining up as you continue to say yes to open doors and mitigate risk, right, and keep saying yes and mitigate risk, and when you keep doing that, God has a way of honoring your yes. And that is like in ways that will blow your mind. You'll be like, wait, what? Oh my, I can't believe like this. So that's what happened here, because we were driving one day going to get lunch on a back road. Oh, it was back road.
What's the song, sweetie? What's the shit?
Take me on it. What is it? I mean,
I know you do it. I know you know it. Come on.
Hang on, because I'm going to lose my thought.
All right, go. Back road.
Which are so amazing.
Yeah,
those back roads are just, they like connect me to something. So
hills.
My dad and I used to just ride around and listen to music, and it was those back roads are so special.
Yeah.
So we were driving down a back road, and you were talking about going to see horses like 40 minutes away, and I was thinking, golly, we're out here in the country. Really, 40 minutes is the closest horse place we can find?
That's what I found. I'm not sure what happened.
So I pulled up my map and I like typed horse, and the rescue came up, and it was on my map. It said 4 minutes, and I was like, "Oh, cool! There's a place here, 4 minutes away." And we went, and the first horse, like literally that we saw, it was a Palomino. He's an Oldenburg. He's 6 years old.
He looks like Tiffany.
We do look alike.
He has this white hair, very blonde.
Beautiful. Just beautiful. Like his
animal.
stature, his legs, his look, his
manners.
And then
amazing.
you meet him, and he's literally like a dog. I'm not kidding. There's 80 horses here, and we interacted with all of them, and he is like coming in your space like a dog. And now later I've learned how, anyways, you have to really control that and how they come in your space. And but just even the story associated with that, I posted it on social media, and somebody who followed me, it was their horse, and she reaches out and shares this like
beautiful story
about how he changed her life. And I'm like, he's doing that to me. And
so here's what we have learned about horses, because all the animals in the farm, they're amazing, they're beautiful, but I think horses has a particular space or purpose in our farm. I mean, they don't only help us manage the pastures, right, while you're riding them and controlling the cattle, but more importantly, they bring people together. I mean, think about the people that we have met, right, through horses. I mean, watching our kids just learn the responsibility about carrying the horses, I mean, has been priceless, because a horse requires maintenance.
Yes.
And it's an beauty. I mean, it's huge, it's strong, and you want to make sure that they are healthy, they're eating properly, they're exercising. So there's a care involved, different than the other animals, right? But most importantly, what I learned from it is that the horse chooses you. They choose their human.
Yeah.
And they know it, right? They can feel you from a mile away. They can sense you. They can feel your heartbeat from very far. And not only that, but you want to tell the story when you actually were arriving, and we just were like a week away, and then we arrived. The horse was literally a mile away. You're taking down the window, and literally the horse lift up the head, look at her from very far away, and that beauty start running to her. So I think horses they are special. They are special beings, that very few people understand them. And we have met this amazing persona that literally, she thinks like a horse. She understands the world, I probably would say, like a horse. I mean, it's powerful how she's capable to break the language between humans and themselves. And that's actually where we are getting a lot of knowledge and teaching, is building that bridge between that beautiful animal and these guys coming with no experience riding or anything about horses. And now we're totally fascinated, connected with them.
Yes.
Not only because of the fun part of it, but also what they represent and how they're bringing communities and people together, even within our family.
Well, and I think that this could be for any new hobby or any new, like, as you press in and you lean in to where you feel God is taking you, and you allow it, open your heart, it can help you, it can heal you, it can change you, it can grow you, it can propel you to that next place. And that's what I love most about this. Like, you really have to learn how to communicate with the horses. And it's not how you and I would communicate.
No.
In fact, it's the complete opposite.
That's right.
How you have to silence your emotions, calm your body, but more importantly, your inside. Like, I mean, I love how it stretches you and it challenges you and it can change you and it just makes you this better person.
Yeah.
I'm here for that.
And here's the thing, you know, you're saying it because we're living it right now with the horses, but that's the same type of communication that we should have with nature. Nature also communicates with us. It's just that we don't pay attention to it. Nature has its own schedule through heavy rains, droughts, hurricanes, everything that can affect your plans, especially when it comes to farming. You can plan, and farming is a slow process.
Right.
You know, for us, has taken 2 years just to get the pasture to a level that we can introduce animals. But look at how much work it has been done. That anybody that goes there is like, what have you done? And when I think about it, really, you have no idea what I've done.
So much.
You know, just to kind of get that, you know, green pasture coming
and
in.
it's so beautiful.
Right.
The pasture's beautiful.
But when you understand that nature, also, you have to have that relationship. And there's also that two-way communication. When you break that barrier that may disconnect you from nature, and then you start embracing it, just like how you found out with horses, life gets very interesting, because now the source of knowledge truly is becoming from something that was created by God in such a beautiful way. Everything falls together in harmony.
That's right.
And when you understand what that harmony looks like and what makes it to be in balance, you take a lot of skill set from there to apply it in your own life.
Yeah.
So I do think that right there that you said about horses, that's what we're also experiencing, at least from my end, in farming in general. That relationship, that communication, and understanding that planning, you know, nature sometimes can throw a hard ball on you. You can be seeding, and then you may have miscalculated the rain, and that's it. You just lost the entire season.
Well, I love how you have talked about it, because when you spend the time and you invest the time in nature, like I just think about the peace lily.
Right.
And how, so my dad, who unexpectedly passed away a couple years ago, my sweet, amazing husband somehow got the peace lily. And I didn't know until we moved that he still had the peace lily, and it was dying, and it was on its way, like, out. It wasn't.
No, it was alive. It wasn't just thriving.
It wasn't cared for.
It wasn't.
It was not.
Right. It wasn't thriving.
It wasn't cared for.
Right.
So when we recently moved, we brought this peace lily, and I was like, you know, my kids were a couple years older. I was just in a better spot. I was like, I'm going to take care of this peace lily. And it's been 6 months, about 6 months. And the peace lily is gorgeous. I've been watering it. Like, you spend time. We have a relationship.
Just
my
like
kids talk to the peace lily.
Just like any relationship.
And it's about to bloom. I think it's going to bloom on my birthday. It's going to have its first blooms.
So guys, we talk to plants. I mean, that we talk to them.
Look, to get this peace lily blooms, I will do whatever I have to do.
Well, I do think that words have certain power behind them, and the tone of voice, you know, what you say. There are great experiments about that, and they freeze the water depending on the vibrations of the words that you say, and how the molecules within the water actually react to that. Very impressive. I don't know the name of the research or the how do you call the exam that I did, the project that I did, but I saw the pictures of somebody screaming or saying, you know, bad words, and how the water will crystallize as they are is frozen at the moment that those vibrations were received. You'll be blown away.
Wow.
And I think that's what we're seeing with the animals that we have. That's what we're seeing with the energy that we actually project in the farm, how involved we are, how committed we are, how we're pouring our heart in it, and we're letting also nature kind of teach us. It's really humbling.
Yeah, it
you know,
is.
the experience when you realize that you really don't have control of things. You just have to actually participate in the natural flow of things and know what your role is and your position, so that way somebody else is truly leading through the different things of creation. Well, so quite beautiful.
It's hard because you get in this, like, you're almost like a robot. You get up, you go to work, you take the kids to school, you prepare the meal, you go to the gym.
You're
and
distracted.
Then you do the same thing. You're distracted, and you're just in this process of being tied to a clock and trusting that going to the grocery store is okay.
Yeah.
Because who would have ever thought any different?
We get caught up. That's what it is. We get caught up in society. We get really busy, and we start missing the signals, right, of nature. So what else? I think it's a matter of looking at life differently, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. But it's not always beautiful, right?
Why? Tell me.
Well, horse poop has a funny smell.
Well, yes. Everything that involves is really not that beautiful and enjoyable. But it's part of it. It's part of it. It truly is. So what about our neighbors? You know, when we...
what neighbors?
The neighbors in the farm.
We don't have neighbors there.
No, but we have like one. We only have like one, literally.
Oh,
we only
like
have
the one who helped me with the mailbox? That
right,
one?
Yeah,
oh my
yeah.
gosh,
we
that was one. So sweet. Yes. Way up there.
Way up there.
Okay.
Do you think that we are like the foreigners and the aliens of that country side of the state?
You or me?
Oh, yeah. You're now going to say that you blend in so well. Let me tell you, honey. You're a city girl with an accent of a country girl.
No, let me tell you. You put on those breeches and those cowboy boots.
No.
Let me tell you. Holy smokes.
She's so funny.
That's not even right.
She's so funny. But you're right. The smell, especially of the compost, right? That you build on the spot after every pad has been grazed.
Yeah, but you just get used to it.
You just get used to it.
Like with the flies. The flies.
Oh, yes. For us, was quite difficult.
No.
No?
No.
Yeah, you're talking, and I was taking my son, and then I swallow one of those. And it went all the way to my throat, and I tried to kind of get that thing out.
I guess it depends on the person.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Wow. This is just fascinating. Okay, sweetie. All right. You're right. I think you have embraced this lifestyle way, way before you were even born.
Well, honey, I think that you forget. You have to remember that there are roots. And even though you met me at one place, like, you have to remember that where my family comes from and the things, like, it's...
I remember those things. I just observe you, like when you are around, you know, animal poop and horses and other things and flying, and I just see how you...
Baby, I mean, it's not yourself. Scorpions. I mean, you take me to Nicaragua and I get stung by a scorpion and can't breathe. My throat's closing. I mean,
and you almost die.
I don't know.
You're so exaggerated. I love you. I love you. I love you.
That's a true story, by the way.
Well, tell me about a challenge then. What? Because it seems that you haven't experienced any challenge in this new adventure. So, what is anything a challenge for you? Because it seems that you got this, girl. I mean, you should just get another farm at this point.
My challenge is getting groceries.
It is. It is.
I mean, it's interesting because it feels in a way like what we did in Nicaragua, but like easier access. Like it's
right.
It's.
I mean, I think the similarities that you're referring to is the fact that nothing is done for you. You got to figure out how to get the water,
Like
the electricity, the water. You have to make a well, right, in order to get water and pump. And you got to figure out the whole system. And then you got to build your own pipes because nothing has been done there. I think that similarity exists in Nicaragua just because, at least where we were, you know.
But this is different, right? Like we have access or more access and we can.
Yeah, you still have access to infrastructure. You just have to create it from nothing. Over there, you create it from nothing and it still don't work.
Right.
And that's kind of where
it's self-defeating. Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
And that's really bad. That's actually what started hitting me.
Right.
You put so much work, effort. I did it. I got the power. I got the ACs and all the different units. Well. And then, poof, right after you've done everything.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
Right.
There's no energy. And there's nothing you can do.
Right. So you compare that to, so I think it's how we see the challenges because each challenge has taught us patience and resilience. Yes. And I feel like we just have this perspective where we've learned to respect nature's process.
Yes. Right.
Instead of trying to like control every little thing. That's
a good one. And I think that's a great lesson, Sweetie. Good job. Because we coming from the city and from the world that we come from, especially so competitive, corporate, this and that, and then creating your own thing, you're trying to control very much, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what we do.
Yes.
Over there, you realize that you're just an influencer. You're not under control.
Right.
And somebody else is under control, and you actually have to respect that is the case. And you just influence things and kind of help and pitching here and there just to kind of let nature, you know, do its own thing. But you're just a participant in the whole game.
And you can, or let me ask, can you tell how people there, it's just a different pace, right?
Yes,
like here it's insane how attached we are to the clock. And, you know, we rush our kids and we rush everybody and we have to go here and we got to be there at 8:30. And is it really okay if it's 8:33? I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm 8:33 is okay. Is it the end of the world?
Don't get too loose, sweetie. Don't get too loose.
But you know what I'm saying. It's like my kids have literally never ever been late. They've never missed a day. They've never. And to what extent did we do that? Was there
how rigid do you stay?
Was there mornings that we could have been like, you know, instead of rushing or putting pressure, we're gonna it's gonna be okay.
Agree. Well, I tell you, their farmer lifestyle, I respect it. I just don't embrace it because you know, we've been working with different people and they just take their time.
Right.
And we come from an environment that we get things done and it has to be now. And I think that's what has made us successful. But when you take that and you try to execute it, like we've been executing this project for the past 2 years, I tell you, you better have patience because if you think that things are just going to go the way things go in the city, you will have a heart attack.
Yeah.
You will not be able to do anything because you will be so frustrated with people that people will just back off.
Right.
So patience. I learned patience. I'm breathing, a lot of breathing. Not holding, not letting it to loose and just getting used to that.
Of course.
Because otherwise you won't be able to do anything. But understanding that things go slower, right? Because people are more with nature.
Right.
And that makes them slow down.
Right.
And you got to read that in the room so that way you don't also scare people off.
Right.
You just don't push them off if you put in too much pressure. I realize sometimes working in few things with the horse barn, and sometimes I have to just take my gas off when I see that they take their time to respond, or they don't give me the answer right in the moment. I respect the evenings because I know that their lifestyle is completely different than in the city.
Right.
So patience, that's key.
Yeah.
That's been a huge one for me to learn.
And I think that the big thing is that this whole thing has helped us not just grow as farmers.
Oh, now we're farmers. And
With
how many
cute
hats do
boots
we have?
And you know,
Cute boots and hats. You have
and ponies.
a hat.
But also as people.
Yes.
And that's my favorite thing about this is who we're becoming.
This is making us better. I truly believe so. I truly think so. So I know you told me about a story about one of the listeners. What is it? Share it with us, please.
So Sophia was asking, can regenerative farming actually feed communities sustainably? And what a great question.
And I do think so. Sophie, right? Great question. I do believe so. Actually, the whole approach is at the community level. I think that will be the solution. That will be the future of farming. New entrants, new people are getting in. People with a lot of capital, with a lot of education is changing the industry. And I think that this approach will not only do it at the local level, because what that does is your production is much smaller, right? In the terms of output. But in a size of land in where you utilize the approach of intense grazing, you can increase your capacity because of the efficiencies that you start creating with these different processes that we're talking about. The idea is that if you do this at the local level, at the community level, and that multiplies through the different communities across the country, you can resolve the problem that we currently have in the food industry. It's just that copy paste that has to be done. And unfortunately, the educational system that we have in this country hasn't adopted that idea yet. So they keep pushing the conservative farming, which is utilizing chemicals and fertilizers and all this different stuff that when you see it, I saw it when we bought the land, and I was asking, how did I do this? Here it is, you use this, Roundup. It's Roundup for this, but that's what the animal is going to eat, and then I'm going to eat the animal, and then at the end of the day, I'm eating that thing too. Mm. So when that is not accepted by the educational system and can truly start educating our communities to do this kind of farming at the local level and then take this nationally, we'll still be operating at a smaller scale. But I do think that things are changing. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of talk about this, especially in this country, in also other first world countries. This is starting to create some sort of awakening to the point that, think about it, 2 business people, bankers, no idea with what farming is about. I heard it, I learned from it, I got excited and saw hope at the end of this, and I said, you know what, I think this sounds really interesting. It's really good because it is becoming not only the solution, but I do think that this is going to be the future, because the supply chain and everything that we have in our food industry is broken.
Yeah.
To the point that
it's problematic.
We're killing ourselves.
Yeah, it's making people sick.
So with that in mind, I do believe, and Sophie, I do think that it's not only at the community level that we can create this sustainable process. I do believe that you can take that concept and expand it.
And when it impacts you personally, like I saw my child like he would eat something packaged.
Oh yeah, the
People
allergies.
talk about red dyes.
Yeah.
I mean, and to see how the bad behavior can be for him, it was directly tied to what he was consuming.
Wow.
And when you experience that, especially when it's your child, you're like, no, I'm done. There has to be another way.
Right.
And removing certain foods from Liam's diet, adding in certain supplements, like
Natural
we have
supplements.
a new kid. We have a new kid.
That's right.
And not only is our life a little easier,
We're happier.
but
Our marriage is better.
he
It's
is
better.
thriving.
Of course. And that's the whole
He is thriving.
whole reason behind
And
it.
I am just like, yeah, there's
Yes.
got to be a different way.
Yes.
And I need to tell
Yes.
you, I love your brain and I love the way you think and how you just build things and find solutions and want better ways. And it's got to be so interesting to be in your mind.
Well, sweetie, you get a huge part of that exposure with me every single day. I hope that you don't get tired of me because I think we have to close this episode. We can continue. Let's see the feedback and the comments that people actually gave us about this topic. We took the risk to share something different than what we've been doing just because I think there's a lesson behind this episode. And we are living it as we are creating also this podcast. And the real growth, it takes time. And it's the nature that really has taught us that that's the case.
And to our listeners, maybe you don't start a farm, but we hope that this episode in some way encourages you to think about your own relationship with your hobbies, with your family, and of course with nature. Go bring a plant back to life. Might take a little while, but it's crazy how it really can happen.
It does, and it's not only a farm. It's literally a living classroom that teaches us every single day.
I love it.
So.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on this journey. If today's episode spoke to you, make sure you subscribe, follow us, and leave a comment. We love to answer your questions and respond to your comments.
Check out all our social media platforms, guys. That helps us. That really gives us the inspiration, the motivation that we need to keep pushing forward. We're seeing how this channel is growing in different countries, from Mexico to Brazil, United States, Spain. That really means something to us. We're doing it because we want to leave a legacy that teaches you what a true Caminante is truly about.
Thank you guys. The growth and the subscribers and all the comments, we are truly humbled by your love. And I know you were probably wondering, so let me go ahead and put this out there. The name is Heartwood Ranch and Farm.
Until next time, guys, we love you. Keep walking your path like a true Caminante and nurturing your true roots. Thank you. Until
Love you
next
guys.
episode, have a good one.